Hey guys, welcome to the We Need to Calm Down podcast. I'm Devin.
And I'm Joe.
And this is a show where we talk about all things Taylor Swift.
That's right. This is the show where two friends finally get to let their dedication to the mother of Olivia Rodrigo and godmother to Sour, Taylor Swift, fly.
We'll be discussing everything from song breakdowns, Taylor news, and our insane fan theories.
That's right. And today we have an absolutely jam-packed episode, I think. I haven't run through how long this episode's going to take, but it seems like there's a lot to unpack here. So I think we're just going to skip the banter for this week. And Devin, tell me right off the bat, what are we talking about on this typical Tuesday?
So long story short, we are going to be running down.
Sorry, that blew right over my head. And I didn't even that was unplanned. And that was way overreacted, but it was very genuine.
Long story short, we're going to be running down some of our picks for songs that should have been singles. So we're going to be analyzing what songs she did pick for singles, think, what ones should have been, what ones shouldn't have been, things like that. So Taylor Swift is honestly the queen of snubbing songs as singles. She's given us some amazing tracks as singles, which we'll talk about, and we're forever grateful for them. But today we will not speak on them. Instead, we will run the math and lament what could have been and give praise to the songs that should have been singles.
So yeah, I'm very excited because I actually did a bit of math, not too much math, but I did a little bit of running.
A dabble,
if you will, a dapple, to use a Taylor Swift word and reference a Taylor Swift song like you snuck into there. One thing we are going to touch on in this episode is the difference between one thing I want to start this episode actually with this is the difference between promotional singles and official singles, because I Googled this because there are a lot of promotional singles that Taylor has on her albums that technically aren't official singles. And we're going to specifically be speaking of official singles here. So Taylor has done her fair share of releasing oodles of both. And if we count them, over 64% of Speak Now was released as some kind of single. 11 out of the 17 total songs. That includes bonus tracks.
That's insane.
11 of them were either a promotional single or an official single. So let's start by saying, what is the difference? After doing some mild research, the primary difference between a promotional single like The Archer and an official single like We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together is that a promotional single is usually distributed for free, while official singles are distributed commercially. Well, what does that mean, though? It means that songs that are serviced to radio stations by the record label with an official date to add them into circulation, that is the key. That is what means that this song is a single that is paid for, promoted by the record label to get into the public circulation. The promotional single has a lot less behind it. Basically, the main factor to help determine if a song is a single is radio promotion, really. 9 times out of 10, if you heard a new song beat to death on your local radio station, it was probably given to them as an official single, which explains why you heard Look What You Made Me Do 1,000 times in the summer of 2017, but you almost never heard The Moment I Knew from Red, which is somehow a promotional single. I have no idea.
That's crazy to me.
So to get some background on singles, like I said, we're going to be focused on the official singles, which means that some songs that we pick out that we think that should have been a single, probably what might have been a promotional single, but it didn't get that radio push or that music video push or that big marketing budget that an official single backed by the official record label would normally have. So first we have to look at how many singles she has released and where. So for this episode, like I said, we're focused on official singles and strictly singles from her full album releases. So we're ignoring songs like Sweeter Than Fiction, I Just Want to Live Forever, while, like I said, also ignoring promotional singles. Our reasoning here is even though it was a single in name, it didn't get the same radio promotion or general promotion package that normal singles get. And that's what we want. That's what we're upset about. Basically, the way I think about this episode and what we're going to speak on today is the fact that all us Swifties and a majority of our audience that are listening to this episode and listen to our podcast regularly know every Taylor Swift song. Like Taylor Swift could put anything out. There's not a single song that a Taylor Swift fan does not know. But the general population mostly knows the songs they hear on the radio and maybe a smattering of songs like from different albums that weren't on the radio or might have been a promotional single. But we're basically picking out the songs that we think the general public who is not as ingratiated in Taylor Swift should have heard, that we
Mhm.
wish that when we spoke about them to our normie friends that they knew what we were talking about.
Mhm.
Because we can go up to friends and talk about me, talk about you need to calm down and everything, and they're right with us. They understand it, they know it, they heard it forever. But if we come out and we go, yo, did you ever listen to Clean? No, you didn't, because it wasn't a single.
Mhm. So let's get into it.
So I did a lot of numbers. And I might actually just do a list here. And I'm sorry, it's going to be a lot. Actually, we'll go back and forth. So, David, you talk a little bit more because I don't want to hear my voice this whole time.
Okay.
So, we're going
So
to go. Sorry, I was going to say we're going to go through, alternate back and forth which singles came from which album. So, you can start and we'll go back and forth. These are the official release singles for each Taylor Swift album.
yes, so on self-titled, there was only 5 singles, so 5 out of 15, 33%. We have Tim McGraw, Teardrops on My Guitar, Our Song, Picture to Burn, and Should Have Said No.
For Fearless, we had the same. We had 5 singles, 5 out of 19, 26% of the songs were singles. We had Love Story, White Horse, You Belong With Me, 15, Fearless, and then 2 promotional singles, Breathe and You're Not Sorry.
Then Speak Now, we have 6 singles, so 6 out of 17, 35%. We have Mine, Back to December, Mean, The Story of Us, Sparks Fly, Ours, which is a bonus track. And then the promotional singles include Speak Now, Haunted, If This Was a Movie, Superman, and Long Live. Insane.
The promotional singles feature the rest of the album.
Yeah.
For Red, we had 7 singles, which I don't know if you remember, Taylor did do a very big thing, just like putting out like every week a new song up until the album came out. So that makes sense why there are so many singles for Red. So we had 7 of 19 songs for Red, 37%. We had We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, Begin Again, I Knew You Were Trouble, 22, Red, Everything Has Changed, The Last Time. And then the promotional singles, again, feel like every other one. State of Grace, Moment I Knew, Come Back, Be Here, and Girl at Home, which all seem very odd to me.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Then we have 1989, which had 7 singles, 7 out of 16, 44% of the album, which I think might be the highest. So we have Shake It Off, Blank Space, Style, Bad Blood, Wildest Dreams, Out of the Woods. Oh, New Romantics was a single.
It was a single. Yeah, I was waiting for you to get to that one. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it wasn't. I didn't see that on there.
I
Okay.
don't know how. I honestly don't
If
know how
anything,
that song
it was not a well circulated single.
Not at all.
But
Not at
promotional
all.
singles, we have Welcome to New York, Wonderland, and You Are in Love.
Yeah, New Romantics was an odd one that I definitely don't think got the
I feel like
credit.
if anything, I got like maybe a week of promotion.
Mhm.
Nothing crazy. Okay.
So Reputation, we had 6 singles, 6 out of 15, 40%. So we're high percentage of the songs become singles for the last 2 albums. We had Look What You Made Me Do, Ready for It, Endgame, New Year's Day, Delicate, Getaway Car, and then promotional singles Gorgeous and Call It What You Want.
Then we start to go into the lower numbers. So Lover only had 4 singles, 4 out of 17, 24%. With Me, You Need to Calm Down, hey, Lover, and The Man, and the promotional single was The Archer.
And then we have Folklore with 4 out of 17, again 24%. With Cardigan, Exile, Betty, and The One.
And finally, Evermore only had 3 singles, 3 out of 17, 18%, which is Willow, No Body, No Crime, and Coney Island. Which, why?
Literally why? We cannot fathom. What's interesting to note, like right off the bat, listing all of these out, it's so fascinating that as soon as Taylor got control over and owned her own music, the number of singles plummeted.
Mm-hmm.
So like we said, we went from 33%, 35%, 37,
44.
40 to 24, 24, 17. Granted, I feel like Folklore and Evermore might be closer to like outliers,
Mm-hmm.
but still
Lover.
Lover with only 4. I think it's signaling that because now she owns it. I feel like what it means is that Big Machine Records was the one pushing out her songs as singles. And now that she has more control, she is giving less out. I don't know if that's actually the case, but after actually looking over everything, it's that's why I love doing this kind of math stuff. You see weird trends like this. But from this, we can conclude the average Taylor Swift album of 17 tracks has roughly 5 singles on them, the average number of singles per album released. So, after doing some research into what the normal number of singles released like across the music industry, which is an oxymoron because Taylor Swift is the music industry. At least pre-Folklore, the industry average is 1 to 3 singles per album, and she's been above the curve for a majority of her career. Only since Lover to Evermore has she started to come down and join the rest of the music industry in the 1 to 3 singles range. But before that, I mean, like you said, Red had 7. Reputation had 6, 1989 had 7, Speak Now had 6. Like they had so many, it was well over what the industry is used to seeing,
I
which
feel
is
like
really
this
interesting.
this also just kind of goes along with what she was talking about in Miss Americana, where, she didn't have to think about, and kind of with Folklore, I didn't have to think about, what's going to be commercially successful and touring wise, like what's going to be the big opening song and things like that. And I feel like that reflects in the amount of singles. Like she didn't feel the need to release as many.
Which I love.
Hmm.
Like I honestly like I think it's fine to dive back into them, especially because like the one thing that I love in the transition from Lover to Folklore is Lover. We still have Me and You Need to Calm Down. I still feel like Lover I'm more than fine with. The Man, we already talked about how much we weren't giant fans of it. We actually have a song breakdown of it that we have never released thanks to Folklore.
Hmm.
But uh we're not giant fans of The Man, but we understand its importance, why she wrote it, and why she made it a single. But Me and You Need to Calm Down feel very odd on that album. They don't really fit in. And if you listen to our last episode where we broke down No Body, No Crime, we were thrilled that this was a single because it felt like a single. Like it felt like a Me or a we are never ever getting back together because like it just felt like one of those radio songs, but it also felt like it meshed with the rest of the album, unlike Me, unlike Look What You Made Me Do. Well, Look What You Made Me Do might actually have meshed the best, but
Hmm.
Shake It Off, You Need to Calm Down, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together all
Yeah.
felt really weird and like outliers, like they were specifically written for the radio as opposed to for the album they were on. And
Hmm.
No Body, No Crime, Cardigan, Exile, Betty the One, Willow, all of those kind of break that mold. And there's still bops that play on the radio, but they don't have Taylor Swift talking on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Two out of those singles do include that. So with all of these songs, now that we have all this information laid out, are there songs that she should have released as singles across her discography? So what are some of the clear misses that we wish people could have heard on the radio or that should have got more attention?
Well, let's see. So let's go chronologically by album. So starting with Taylor Swift. I don't know. I feel like she kind of nailed this one,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting. It's her first album. This is her best track record of singles shared, I think, compared to the rest of the album. Every every single song, Tim McGraw, Teardrops on My Guitar, Our Song, Picture to Burn, Should Have Said No, all the I think top tier songs on that album that I think would be the most successful and accepted by the general population. The
Mm-hmm.
only one that I think I would see wanting more promotion might be Mary's Song, but like I think that's more of a personal choice than a song geared for commercial success. Like I don't think you would hear that on the radio that often.
Hmm. I'd agree with that. And I completely agree with your points. I mean, from someone who, when debut didn't like came out, only heard those singles,
Hmm.
judging Taylor Swift on those singles, I think is a very fair statement. And the only thing I'd potentially add is I'm only me with when I'm with you.
Mm.
I feel like I've heard that song promoting things. Like I feel like it was on some kind of, TV show or something. Like I feel like it was out there and I could have seen some commercial success, but I understand why in comparison to the rest of that track list for the singles, it was not included.
Definitely. And it does feel that way because it's a very simple song, but it is kind of screamable.
Hmm.
And one thing I'm actually going to say before we get into the rest of these is, like we said earlier, her first 6 albums had a lot of singles.
Hmm.
So I after doing this, I realized that Taylor only started snubbing singles relatively recently.
And that's why we're mad.
And
Okay.
that's why we're mad. So Fearless, like I said, I feel like in the beginning of her career, with Big Machine Records probably having influence in her releasing more singles, she definitely hit the nail more often, which makes sense as she released more singles than she does in her later career. And she's an early upcoming artist, so the more songs of hers that are playing on the radio, the better, to get her to become a household name. And that said, though, I always thought "Tell Me Why" was a single.
Mm.
I don't know why. Like, I'm honestly shocked it wasn't. It sounds like the perfect song for country radio.
It
Like, it's
sounds
so country.
it sounds like it would have been good, but in comparison to the other singles, like does it really
Mhm.
mesh?
That's a good point. I'm honestly like, it. Tell Me Why and Should Have Said No really mesh together with me. I think they're both phenomenal songs and obviously separate, but they hit along a lot of the same points. So I might have thought like, oh, Should Have Said No was a single. I've heard that a lot. So assume, because I've heard that one a lot, Tell Me Why, which is very similar, I would have assumed. Uh, Personally, I would have loved to see The Way I Loved You get more promotion. I feel like it deserved to be in the public eye, to be heard from more people. The other song, though, that I thought was a single is Forever and Always. This is a song that I heard from friends that I didn't consider Taylor Swift fans. Like, they were singing it, they were referencing it and everything. And I was like, oh, so to me, when I hear a song from someone who I don't deem a giant Taylor Swift fan, at least back then, I was like, oh, that must be one of her singles or one of her more popular songs because regular people are talking about it.
Yeah.
So I always assumed it was a single. And I think it has a music video too, which also might have made me think it was a single.
I don't think it does.
Does it not?
It has my music video. That's the only thing I reference with that song. But with The Way I Loved You, I agree, but I don't. I feel like it definitely potentially could have been a single. And I think the fans just took it and ran with it. And
Mm,
that's why, like, it's not in the public eye, but it's definitely like a gem within the Swiftie community. And when the Fearless re records came out, this was a big
mm,
song that people were focusing on.
definitely, yeah.
So I agree with all your points. I'm honestly a little surprised White Horse was a single. I think it definitely was an emotional song. And it was one of those songs that when I was a kid, just staring out the window, pretending I was in a music video. And she had the music video behind it as well. But for some reason, I'm just like, maybe it was too sad to be a single. But then, you know, Driver's License was a single too. So,
Yeah, I think it's funny. Like, another thing that, like, we're gonna say, I thought this was a single. I thought this was a single probably throughout this whole thing. It's just songs that weren't, and even songs that, like, we didn't think would be a single that were. White Horse, I would have thought is a single solely because I remember the story of her performing it at an award show and staring at Joe Jonas in
mm,
like the front row and just saying like, I'm you, I'm not a princess, like just
yeah,
looking at him at dead eye, right in the front row as she's singing it. So to me, like, if she sang it at an award show, that's got to be a single, right? But we're gonna
yeah.
find out later that that's wrong. But anyway, on to the best thing she's ever created. Speak now. I have 2 songs that were technically promotional singles. Like I said, with the song, 65% of it is a
Hmm.
single. So it's hard to find something that isn't. But these were promotional, not official, which I think is nuts. Speak Now and Haunted deserve to be proper singles with radio releases and everything. the title track, like come on.
Yeah.
Like it's so good. It has a story, but it's relatable. Like it's enchanted and like fairy tale and haunted. It was just such an in your face bump. It was high energy. It was ready to go. I can see better a thing for better than revenge, but with the whole
Mm-hmm.
the now, like I've had people reach out to me who are just turning into Swift and are like, isn't this like a little problematic? And I'm like, you shut up. That's my childhood. Did you see that video? Did I send you that video of someone saying, I love better than revenge? And her just like turning like a hawk, looking at them and going, thank you.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I've
Yeah.
seen that.
I selfishly want Long Live to be a single, but again, I think it's the same thing as Mary's song. I don't think it would have had as much commercial success as a single as I would have wanted it to be. So I think that's more of a selfish ask. The one thing I will say, I wish Mean wasn't a single.
It was really big for the time, though. Like, it definitely, the song in itself isn't, one that stands out incredibly, but the message behind it, I think she needed to promote at the time because she was getting like bullied.
You think it's like a the man type single?
Yeah. Hmm.
I can see that. I can see that. I think that's a good context is a good thing for these singles to put. So thank you for putting that in perspective. It's just Mean looking back on it now. It's just I wish I wish Haunted. God, give me
I
Last
feel like
Kiss.
I know. I feel like just Last Kiss would kill people if it was
It would
publicly
people if people were listening out the radio while driving, they would literally just stir
crash.
just crash.
Speak Now could have been. I just Haunted, I think, was a little too different compared
I
to the
could see
rest
that.
of them. I just with Speak Now, I feel like there's so many other great singles that you didn't need Speak Now, but it
Mm.
is the track song, which
It's
is
iconic.
crazy.
And like that intro chord, like bum, bum,
Yeah.
bum, like hearing that come on the radio is just perfect. Like I almost said it's music. Yeah, of course it's
Mhm.
music, you idiot.
However, a song that wasn't a single that still has the notoriety of a single and almost was the title track, Enchanted, while it wasn't technically a single, it was promoted heavily with her Wonderstruck perfume line. So I think
How did I miss that?
that's a really important line to bring out. So I think that while it wasn't a single, the fact that it was just blasted on TVs everywhere
Mm.
did promote the song in a way that is similar to a single.
Owl City also apparently promoted
Mhm.
it.
Had
I
a
can't believe I missed that one. Yeah,
mhm.
that's insane. That wasn't a single. 11 out of 17 songs, Taylor, and not one of them was Enchanted.
She didn't need it to be. She
But
had Wonderstruck.
again, the problem is I want to talk to normies about Taylor and have them know about Enchanted because
They
they
know about the
should.
perfume. People I've talked to are like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah, that is
for
weird.
perfume." Yeah. This is
It's
also the first time that she had a bonus track as a single with ours,
yeah.
which was very interesting to me.
Yeah, which is it I wasn't was that in that wasn't in a movie or anything, but it feel like I remember
They had a
that
music
song.
video.
Yeah. I think like what's weird. Tell me if this is weird. When I worked in retail at a department store, I remember seeing Wonderstruck perfume like all
Hmm.
over the place. Is it weird that now knowing who I am now, knowing that I would never use it, if I like that I'm upset that I didn't buy one?
I get that. Just for
Like
the nostalgia to keep the
just the
bottle or
like I mean,
something.
granted, I will say if anyone came over my house and was like, "Do you have Taylor Swift perfume?" and they go, "You don't understand, it's a relic from 10 years ago. I've never once sprayed it. I don't know what it smells like." I feel like that's weird. I feel like that's a weird thing to have wanted.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, everything's 2020.
Actually, we'll get to Red. And I'll tell you another regret that I have in my life regarding Taylor Swift and merch in a store. Anyway, we get to Red. We're on Red now, and I think you're gonna refute me on this, but
I
all
am.
too well, all too well, all too well.
It didn't need to be a single,
Stop with your needs. The world needs to know about all too well.
but they do. It's such a, it's not as well known as it probably should be. I agree with
Mm,
you on that. but it is such a thing within the Swift community, which I understand is not normies,
Mhm.
but the fact that she performed it at the Grammys,
I was gonna say, yeah.
that's not a single. I know that's the point you were gonna make.
And that performance, I remember two things from that performance. I remember how absolutely iconic it was, and people who knew I was a Taylor Swift fan reaching out to me and go, "Wow, dude, that was incredible." And then I also remember someone sharing on Facebook a video of her doing her head flip back and Ryu from Street Fighter doing an uppercut on her face every time. So like it was like she's getting punched.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Those are the two distinct memories I have of that performance. And I guess that performance is enough. Like I can't tell you how much I respect her as a songwriter for breaking that song out for a performance as important as the Grammys, and just knowing very few of the audience is going to know what this song is or care about this song, but it's important and I need to perform it. And maybe you're right. Maybe that is what we needed. Again, I can't see listening to the song on the radio. Like it's just hard. She also did a truncated version of it, I believe. Like she cut out
Yeah.
some bits to shorten it down. So yeah, like I can't see it having been played on the radio, but it still feels so weird. Like more people need to know about it. The whole
Mhm.
world needs to know about that song. And like I said earlier, the album did have a crazy release schedule, which led to some really odd choices for singles. Begin Again. Don't get me wrong, they're all great songs, and Begin Again is phenomenal. It's a really great song. I love the fact of ending the album with a new beginning is
Mhm.
great. But especially when put up against the other singles release, like I Knew You Were Trouble, 22, Red, like it just doesn't fit in. And it was the second one released too. Like the
Mhm.
first song that was released was We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together. And she goes, you know what I'm going to hit him with? I'm going to hit him with that Begin Again. And everyone was like, excuse me, Taylor? And then I Knew You Were Trouble came out and we're like, oh, okay, now we get it. Like it was just such a weird left turn in
Mhm.
her promotions for that album. But like, are you kidding me? Like you put out Begin Again second and just left Treacherous all by itself on the album. It's a sin that that song didn't get more promotion.
It's tough. I know,
I,
because Treacherous is one of my favorite songs off of Red.
I will give you that All Too Well, Last Kiss, all of those. We can't have too sad of songs on the radio, but Treacherous, I think, walks the perfect line between them. And Treacherous, I know, did get a lot of like publicity around it because of how sensual it was, which to me was
Mhm.
ridiculous, especially considering where we're at now.
Yeah.
But
Well, that might have been why they didn't want
I
to
guess
promote it on
so.
radio, but it was too gay. That's what they thought.
I don't know. It's just, but I remember reading an article about it in college, and like that wasn't the focus. It was just like, wow, like
Mhm.
put your lips close to mine as long as they don't touch. Say whatever. Say it with your hands was
Yeah.
the big line that like ruffled some feathers. But like I don't know, like I would take that over Begin Again in a heartbeat.
I'd agree with that. I don't think Begin Again needed to be a single. Um, I'm really surprised that The Last Time was a single.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
like
even
what
a
was that?
wasn't even a promotional single. And I don't think they had a music video, but they had just the one that they were performing it back to back.
Mm.
I'm like, I mean, it just
It's
seemed
a
like a really
feature.
yeah.
Like I
So
guess maybe like Gary Lighthouse was like, yeah, I'll be on your album, but
promote
you
it.
got to promote the song that I'm on, because like Everything Has Changed is also a feature on that album that is a single, but like that's Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran,
Yeah.
and it's a great song.
Gary Lighthouse from Snow Patrol. Okay.
He's not Ed Sheeran.
No.
Like what are you doing, Gary? And it's just like I don't know, Everything Has Changed is really great,
Yeah.
and The Last Time is good, but it's like
It's
again to
not.
put it up to everything else that was a single is just it's odd. It's an odd choice.
Okay. So 1989, not realizing that New Romantics was technically a single, but it was robbed. It wasn't the single that it deserved to be.
The first line on Devin's notes is all caps, New Romantics was robbed. Robbed.
Well, it was the fact that it was technically a single, but it didn't get the promotion
Yeah.
that it should have been because I think it was the last single released on the album.
Uh-huh. Yep. And
Shame.
I think she delayed release the deluxe edition too.
Mm-hmm.
I might be wrong on that, so don't fact check me. But I feel like it was definitely a very, very late single to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Like and then I think it was also overshadowed by the Bad Blood remix, I think came out afterwards too.
Mm,
So there was just a lot of things that were like denying it. But I think it was like the last chance of like, again, we have, and we're foreshadowing here, we have a lot of songs from Lover and so on that people were screaming to be singles and never were. And then we get to 1989. I remember fans were screaming for New Romantics to be a single,
mm-hmm.
and BMR conceded and made it happen. So
Barely.
well, I don't want to give them any credit. They suck, but I do think there is a thing there that it might have been them that said, all right, the fans want it, let's send it. And then I don't think the general population received it as well as everyone wanted it to.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe you. Yeah, definitely robbed. It's a fantastic song. It doesn't even deserve to be a bonus track. Like
No.
that's an on the EP album or an
Mm-hmm.
on the LP album
Yeah.
song thing.
I mean, besides, like, if I had to give New Romantics, granted, I mean, if I had to give New Romantics a prime spot as a single, I would give up Wonderland and You Are in Love as promotional singles. You didn't really hear about them too much. Wonderland, I think they
Mm,
tried to hide because of the meaning behind it. But You Are in Love, as much as I love that song to pieces, didn't need to be a single, promotional single. Not really.
not a fan of that one. I love Wonderland. Like Wonderland is my New Romantics. It is my favorite of the bonus tracks by far. But yeah, I don't think it needs to be a promotional single or a single at all. Like I think you could have put more money into New Romantics, hands down,
Hmm.
over either of those.
Granted,
I
money wasn't in them, but still.
This one is tough for me. I do feel like she nailed most of the single releases with this album. Like if you look up, it is the greatest hits of the album. And again, there's 7 of them. So like the only thing I would say is if I had to like pick others to put on there, which feels weird, I would say All You Had to Do Was Stay, maybe. I Wish You Would, solely for that guitar riff that comes up. And I would probably take away, because I think if I'm gonna add some, I have to take some off. So I would personally, and you might hang me out to dry for this one. I would take away Out of the Woods.
No,
I know, I
no.
know, I know.
Mm-mm.
It's just I think I Wish You Would is my I Out of the Woods. Like I know I'm just like comparing my version of songs to yours,
Hmm.
but like I feel like you represent the actual population. I represent a very small sliver. But like what normal fans think of Out of the Woods and New Romantics, I think of All You Had to Do Was Stay or I Wish You Would and Wonderland.
They're great songs, but the radio play on Out of the Woods and the Grammys performance of Out of the Woods, fantastic, top tier.
I also think now we're getting into the point where We're Never Ever Getting Back Together was that start of the very repetitive single, the very repetitive first single, the very start of the cell phone on a call or on a call in a song. But I still think it fit with the album, not 100%, but like 70% maybe, like 60% of that song was like, all right, this isn't jarring and out of touch with the rest of the album. It's not 100% there, but it's there. Shake It Off is where we really get into another weird phone call, a very repetitive single, and I can just so do without it. Like I know I
Well,
just
1989, I mean, that song, Shake It Up, wasn't a phone call, but it was like this weird, like,
it had a
breakdown.
phone call sound effect to it. Hey,
Hmm.
hey, hey. When you
Yeah,
were getting down and out about the sad
like a voicemail kind of.
yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
very, and it has like that tone to it.
Hmm.
I don't know, like honestly, if we're giving me executive power, I'm not only taking it off of a single, I'm taking it off the album. I think I want that song to go the way of Sweeter Than Fiction or Crazier,
But
where
it's
it's
such
just
a popular song. It
it
was
is that's
so
why I'm saying
overused and everything. Yeah.
I'm putting it in a Today Was a Fairy Tale. It was just released as a separate single, I don't know, for some music video or for some movie or something.
Mm.
And I would replace it probably with All You Had to Do Was Stay, because I mean, how many track fives made it? No, yes, no, no, not a lot. No, I'm looking at it.
Well, yeah, because you don't want Dear John on the radio.
Maybe you don't.
Well, all right.
No,
You're
you're
not
right. You're
if
right.
you're
You're
a
right.
radio station, you're not promoting. All right, here's Paper Doll by John Mayer. And now Dear John by Taylor Swift.
All right. So that's 1989. Reputation. For me, all caps is Don't Blame Me. And honestly, if my soul is going to leave my body every time she belts out that last chorus, so should the rest of the world.
Yeah.
This song deserves radio play constantly. And honestly, it's weird. Like, I feel like this album should have had more of the bops as singles rather than the slower songs. So,
Mm.
like, I would replace New Year's Day with either This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things or I Did Something Bad. Because, like, I know a lot of friends that are like, that always give me crap for Taylor Swift, for liking Taylor Swift. They're always like, she can't write or she's bad at music or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's because you literally only listen to the singles. And that's your problem. If you listen to all of Taylor Swift, you'll know she's fantastic, and I wouldn't have to keep arguing with this about you on every Zoom call. Oh my god. Now, but I have friends that like gave me that, like they gave me so much crap for it, and then they like we went to the gym together, and they were like blasting I Did Something Bad, and I'm like, oh, this is so bad, is she? And she goes, well, this song is like really good at like pump me up, and I'm like, yeah, I know it should have been a single. The whole world should have known that.
Yeah, so I agree with Don't Blame Me. I did something bad. I kind of feel the same way about it with like Dancing with Our Hands Tied. Like, did it need to be a single? Debatable. So I think I disagree with you on the This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things, because I think people would have torn her to shreds. I
Really?
think they would have been like, this is so cheesy. Oh.
And then she put out Me.
Well, okay. True. But
I don't know. It to me, I and this is probably just weird, but to me, I always think of Jay-Z with that song. Like I think of Hard Knock Life Jay-Z, because it sounds very Annie. This is why we can't
yeah.
have not like it sounds like it's a hard knock life
Yeah.
for us. Like that's what I think about, but I can see exactly what you're saying. Like it does sound a little childish,
Mm-hmm.
and it does sound a little temper tantrumy. So I can kind of get it. But
Yeah.
it's upbeat and it's popular, and that's what I think this album was. So for me, Getaway Car, New Year's Day, like they just feel out of place when representing the album. Because you think about it, these singles, when you put out singles for your album, they are supposed to encompass the album or the feel of the album for the people who aren't going to listen to the full thing. And you look at what you made me do. Ready for It, I think could have been the title track of this album. Ready for It is so perfect. Endgame is great. Delicate gets a little slow, but I think you need that slow song, and I would pick Delicate over New Year's Day in a heartbeat.
Well, I'd agree with that.
I
But
also am not as big a fan of New Year's Day as I think a lot of people are.
yeah.
Sorry, Olivia.
As much of a as much as a dress stan as I am, that song could not be on radio. People would
Oh my
flip
gosh.
out.
Her mom couldn't even listen to that song.
Yeah. So
Speaking
funny.
of which, also speaking of New Year's Day, with Olivia Rodrigo Sour, we talked about it last episode, but we didn't mention this. Olivia obviously sampled it, but not only did she sample it, she didn't actually just play it in the background. She played New Year's Day on the piano herself, so she wouldn't give.
Well, yeah. So it technically wasn't a sample, because then she would have to give royalties to
Mhm.
Scooter Braun. So she interpolated it while giving credit to Taylor and Jack.
Because I think what the legalese of it was, she took the songwriting, she gave
Mhm.
songwriting credit, and she
Yep.
took the songwriting whatever, blah blah
She
blah.
didn't take the actual audio of it.
Yeah, she just took the intelligence of it, or what is it, the IP, intellectual property of it,
Yeah.
from the creator,
The
instead of
songwriter. Yep.
instead of the master, which we stand.
Mm-hmm.
We stand. Anyway, Reputation. You said yeah. I think we can agree on I did something bad and don't blame me. I think those are two. I think I can get away with this is why we can't have nice things being off of it.
Yeah.
100%.
So then we get into Lover, and we both agree that the greatest sin that Taylor has ever committed is not including this one song as a single. And that song,
Cruel Summer.
Shame.
I I can't get over it. She also put out a shirt that I wore multiple times on this show
Mhm.
that is all of the lyrics of Cruel Summer on it. It is my pride and joy. And I think she has two shirts, honestly, where she does that. The other one I could was like all flowery and everything, so I didn't buy that one. But it is just, let me tell you that this is the biggest song that never was. Honestly, I
Mhm.
feel like despite me, like literally every time anyone was dumb enough to hand me an aux cord at a party full of people who weren't big Swift fans, I would play this song and it never got received well. Like to the point where even like I was at we were in the Philadelphia area. I was at an Eagles game and I knew the DJ who was DJing a party in the Lincoln in the stadium. And I
Mhm.
told him, "You play this song." No one cared. No one looked up. No one danced. And I was like, I was so angry.
Mhm.
And I played it at another party. My friend said, turn it off, put on like Sugar We're Going Down or something. And I'm like, like if it was on the radio, I wouldn't have that problem.
Mhm. Well, so I feel like my selfishness, I would have loved either I Think He Knows or Paper Rings, either one of them interchangeably. Not over Cruel Summer. That
Mhm.
deserved 100%. But I think those two, either or, would provide a really pop aspect of it.
I definitely agree with I Think He Knows. I Think
Hmm.
He Knows is it's such a fun song. It gets me dancing. It feels like that that quintessential scene in every rom-com, and I'll point to 500 Days of Summer as the one where he finally like makes out with Summer or whatever, and he's like walking down and everyone behind him starts dancing. The bird, like the
Hmm.
little like animated bird comes and he's like dancing and singing and everything. That's how I feel every time I listen to I Think He Knows. Like sipping down 16th
Yeah.
Avenue, like it has its own dance routine built into it just from the sound, which is incredible. I think if I was gonna put one in there, it would probably be Death by a Thousand Cuts because it's not like too sad, but it's also kind of upbeat. So I think it hits on multiple levels. It feels a bit like a snub, but I can see why she didn't.
Yeah. I want to give a quick shout out, honorable mention to Miss Americana and the
Mhm.
Heartbreak Prince, because while it wasn't a single, it was basically titled after the documentary and was included in that.
Yeah. I think this is it's so weird too, because like we said in the beginning, the Taylor averages 5 singles a song or an album, and this one has 4.
Hmm.
So to get that fifth, what is the clear fifth? It's Cruel Summer.
Hmm.
So I don't know what happened. If
A
maybe
pandemic.
if it was the pandemic that really screwed us out of Cruel Summer, and I don't know if we'll ever get it. And that's what's I think that's what the most disappointing is if it was ever going to release, it would be now. But
Well,
like
because
we
it would have been
can't.
in this, it would have been the summer before she had the folklore, not folklore, the Lover Fest.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
feel like that would have been the time to release it.
And now we're amidst the re-records. There's no way she's going to release it as a single this
No,
summer.
no.
So it's just it's literally lost of time, and I would kill for it to come out in an interview what her plan with this song was, because it's too it sounds like a single. Like it has that No Body No Crime thing where it's just like this is a single for this album. This was meant for radio play. This is a song you blast in the summer, windows down while you're driving to the beach or whatever. Like I can't imagine she didn't have a plan for it, and I need to hear her say.
Well, so speaking of summer songs, if we go into folklore,
Mm.
August, hello, the perfect summer song, that could have been a single.
And she could have released it in August too.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what's nuts to me is the album came out July 27th, and she released Cardigan as the immediate single. The next single was Exile, then Betty, and then The One finally, and just no August, which is interesting too because we have Cardigan and Betty as singles. So why don't we have the third song in the triangle?
Facts.
And again, we have 4 singles. She averages 5. What is the clear fifth? To me, it's clearly August.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was the plan until Evermore came out, but I don't think it could have because she was. I mean, I could have been, but then she just immediately started writing Evermore because I don't think she was writing Folklore and Evermore together.
Mm-hmm.
I think in her interview she said we finished Folklore and then just kept writing,
Yeah.
and that's how Evermore came to be. So I can see maybe she thought that, but I don't know. For me, I think August is the clear one.
Mm-hmm.
Like but if I were to make a case for a different one, I think it would be Invisible String
I could see that.
because it feels like it would have been a great radio bop. It's very upbeat. It's very catchy. We like Nobody No Crime, like Betty, we immediately gravitated towards it in the beginning, which I think to us signifies that a regular fan base or a regular population probably would have felt the same way had they listened to it. I feel like it could have done well in the charts if it was promoted more.
I could see that. And so finally, we get into Evermore, and we agree on 2 points on here. So the fact that something should have been a single and something should not have been a single.
If you've listened to this podcast at all over the last 4 months, you're going to know what I'm going to say. And you're going to know that 'Tis the Damn Season has no respect. Please, Taylor, please. If this song was on the radio and the rest of the world knew about it, it's just so worthy of being a single. I can't even take it. I can't get over how snubbed this song is because to me, "Tis the Damn Season" is the Evermore equivalent of The One
Mm-hmm.
because it's the song that everyone kind of likes. She even posted it as the caption to an Instagram post that she made. So to me, that makes me think it's going to have more promotion. It didn't. It deserves more, but it didn't get it. And I'm very sad about it.
I could definitely see it being promoted around like the holiday season too.
Exactly. Like
Like
we
it
were
has that
December
vibe.
13th it came
Yeah.
or December 11th it came out or whenever it came out, like that time frame. You could have easily thrown that out as the second single. You had Willow, and then eventually what did she come up with? She came up with Willow and then Nobody No Crime, which had to be a single. We
Mm-hmm.
already discussed it ad nauseum. And then she had the absolute audacity to put Coney Island as a single.
It's because I guess the feature.
I know it's the
But then
feature.
why was Evermore not a single? Because that was the
because
feature.
because Exile was already a feature with Bon Iver. Like that's
I
the only thing I can think of.
guess.
Like I can make logical reasons why. It's just Coney Island is it's not a bad song. It's just so dour. It's it's not a you're not gonna listen to that on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
No non Taylor Swift fan who isn't a fan of the National is gonna go, oh my gosh, this song. And if you're a fan of the National and you heard that Aaron Dessner was working with Taylor Swift, you were already listening to the album anyway. Like you didn't
Mm-hmm.
need that promotion to know that. I imagine because I feel like the National is one of those bands that you're not like you're generally not casual National fans, I don't think.
No,
I
it's
could be
pretty.
wrong about that, but
I know people who listen to the National that when this news came out that she was doing it with them, people instantly were tuned in.
exactly. And like the news is enough. You don't need a single for it, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think. If I had to pick a different non "Tis the Damn Season" song, I would probably because I think it would be very fun is the Taylor Swift song that has the F word in it, being Champagne Problems. I think that song has what it takes to be a single and be commercially successful. So I like that one in there.
Mm-hmm.
but I still think "'Tis the Damn Season" just takes the cake. Like
I
every
agree.
part about that song.
I completely agree. I think Gold Rush potentially would have been nice, but I think it's a little bit too close to Green Light.
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean?
Like "Green Light" by Lord?
Sonically, yeah.
Okay,
They're
okay,
they're pretty much the same song in different flavors.
that's funny. Yeah.
But another one that I think got snubbed, which definitely could have
Mm,
been a single, is Long Story Short.
I could see that. I
I
could
could,
definitely see that.
mm-hmm.
I feel like there were like Folklore. I feel like all of the singles were very clear cut. When you listen to the album, you knew those four songs were going to be singles,
Yeah.
hands down. And August is the clear snub. That would have probably been a single. With Evermore, I feel like it's not as clean cut. I feel like a lot more songs could have been singles. I feel like even Closure, if she wanted to showcase a
The new
different side of
sound.
her or a different sound to see how it was received by the public, could have been a nice one. Because I think if she did that, she could have brought a lot of Charlie fans in who would like who because I mean she toured with Charlie for
Mm-hmm.
1989 or Reputation,
Yep.
so I can easily see her saying, "Hey, like I'm experimenting with your favorite artist's style. Come listen to what else I'm doing." Or and just see if that's something she wants to do in a future record. Long Story Short would have been great because it reminds us of classic Swift. It reminds us of Speak Now, Fearless, to get us hyped for the re-records and get that sound back on the airwaves so people could prepare for the re-records. I think would have been great. Let me look at the rest of this. Evermore, I don't think could have been a single.
No.
I think Champagne Problems could have. Gold Rush probably could have. Tolerate It, no. Happiness, there's no way.
Mm-mm. No.
Cowboy Like Me, no. Marjorie, no. Ivy,
Dorothea.
Dorothea, I guess, but it's so middling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like it's so average that
Compared to other ones.
yeah, like, I don't think it would stand out and hold its own on a radio. And same with Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it has that same problem, but just like in a sadder note. So yeah, no, I think like Willow was perfect. Willow was the clear single. I think No Body No Crime was also a clear single, but I think "'Tis the Damn Season" is the third most clear single on this list.
I'd
And
agree
then
with that.
a case could be made for a smattering of others or a dappling of others.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really curious to hear what you guys think, the listeners. Are we wrong? Do you think half of the songs we said shouldn't have been singles? Did we miss songs that you think should have been singles?
While some of these potential singles were definitely snubbed, cough, cough, but I have to wonder why. So, why release a single when a song is already a fan favorite and successful in that way? So, like we said, some favorites, All Too Well, I don't think could ever be a single, but it's dubbed by some of her fans as her best work. Others, Cruel Summer, it definitely could have been, but I guess sometimes you can't always get what you want.
All right. Wait, wait. I thought you were for some reason that's a Rolling Stones song. I'm like
Yeah.
thinking you were referencing a
No,
Taylor
I was
Swift song.
referencing a song.
I combined like a lot of stuff there. I combined "Call It What You Want" and
Oh, no. Okay.
and "This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things." Yeah, Taylor, this is why we can't have nice things because you're not putting these singles out. I think for me, the reason you put these singles out, even though they're fan favorites, is to garner more fans. I think that's the number one thing. Is if your fans love it, like I agree with you, "All Too Well" could never be a single, but there are some fan favorite songs that like if enough fans love them, like "Cruel Summer,"
Hmm.
there's got to be a bigger population of people that just don't listen to Taylor Swift outside of the radio that would garner more streams, more adds to playlists, more
Yeah.
just visibility for her as an artist. Which, granted, I mean, we're talking about the most awarded female pop singer in the world. Probably, like, I hate to say this because I know this gets me ripped apart every time I talk to anyone, but I feel like I'm in a safe space. Honestly, I feel like our generation's Beatles. Like I feel like she's reached a point where when we look back 40 years from now on Taylor Swift, she is going to be that Beatles level of classic music from this time. I feel like most of her singles are what's going to be remembered. And you think about the Beatles and the songs that we know of them, and I feel like if Taylor had put Cruel Summer as a single or some of these songs as singles or promoted them more in that way or didn't promote others, we would have more of those songs like the Beatles, like your Hello Goodbyes, your other songs that were in Target commercials.
Well, then at the same time, too, with that, because I'm a big Beatles fan too, there's so many songs that weren't singles by the Beatles that ended up just over time coming out.
Interesting. All right, because I was going to ask you that because I am not a big fan of the Beatles and
Hmm.
I have no idea what songs are
I mean,
singles and
obviously, I
aren't.
wasn't around during the time when singles were coming out, but just coming back on some of the classics definitely could have been singles, but there's no way that all of the famous Beatles songs
Mhm.
were singles. Like there had to be some that were just rediscovered through the years, and I
Got it.
think that that's going to be a super exciting thing growing with this album and having the next generation kind of pick up on some underrated songs. Just like, You're Not Sorry wasn't a radio single, but it garnered or not You're Not Sorry. What's the other one? Um, uh,
Forever and Always.
no, no, no. What was it? What was it?
Tell me why.
No.
I'm
It
going off of Fearless.
it was The Way I Loved You.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was a one that wasn't a single, but on TikTok with this new generation was picked up as like a very prominent song.
The other thing is it was re-released though.
It was re-released, but remastered. The Beatles albums were all
Ah,
remastered.
that's a good point. That's a really good
Mhm.
point. And I would love to be the record label executive that went to, not saying this happened, but went to a radio station and said, "Here's a single CD of I Am the Walrus. Play it now."
Cuckoo
Your audience
cuckoo.
needs to hear this. Before we close, I want to end with a quick coffee bet. This is something we started when Fearless pre-release. Before that happened, as we know, Taylor released one of her album list singles. Today Was a Fairy Tale. On her Fearless re-record. So in the spirit of the show, we wanted to try to predict where the other singles that were never given a full album release might land. And in true Gen Z / millennial fashion, bet an iced coffee on it. So without further ado, we have 8 singles. We're gonna each pick which album we think, and then mark the ones that we definitely think they'll go to if there are any differences, which does look like there are a decent amount of differences.
I tried to, because I agreed with you on a lot of these, but I tried to change them up somewhat
What
to
I
get
think is
the
interesting
difference.
is the one that I think you might have changed up. I think you're going to be right on, and I'm
I,
going to be wrong, and I'm
I
sad
think,
about it.
I think I agree on that one. If I
So
think,
we'll start. I think this is not in chronological order, but we'll try to do it in chronological order. So we'll start with I Heart question mark. Where do we think that's going to land? I think we both matched on this one.
yes, self-titled.
100%. There's
Hmm.
no way I say this. So we're every time we make a prediction and we're confident in it, we're wrong. So I can't wait for this song to come out on Reputation. But it seems so clear, it's so obvious. Self-titled is a reason we both picked it. The next one, I believe, in order, is American Girl. So she did a cover of Tom Petty's American Girl. So you might be 100% correct on this one.
Yeah, so you chose Speak Now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's going to re-record it. I think that the fact that it's already an actual song, it's not really tied to anything. I think why bother?
I can see that, but I also am curious because like why would she leave things that she's done in the hands of anyone else? Like I feel like she wants it all.
Yeah.
She's a woman with these women that want it all. No. Sorry, I just started rewatching Friends, and that's like when I think of these women who want it all, I'm just happy our little harmonica isn't like that. Anyway, so I can definitely see her not recording it, but I think if she does, I think Speak Now is probably the place it lands. If not, probably self-titled.
Hmm.
Then we get to Crazier, the single from the Hannah Montana movie. I think it's going to be on Speak Now.
And for the sake of differences, I think it's going to be on self-titled.
And unfortunately, I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if we look at this, I think Speak Now and Red are going to have the most vault songs. So
Mm-hmm.
if we look at that and like narrow down how many other songs could possibly be on them, and I'm looking at my guesses now and I'm very disappointed in them. It continues. So I'm Speak Now, you're self-titled. We go then to the two songs from the Hunger Games soundtrack, Safe and Sound and Eyes Open. And we matched on this one. We both said Speak Now for both of these.
I think they have to be together.
They definitely have to be together. I think it's between Speak Now and Red.
Yeah, I don't know about Red.
I feel like they fit with Red a little bit. I feel like honestly, I feel like they fit with Red more than they fit with Speak Now, just because they're a little bit.
Do you want to change yours to Red?
I'll change, yeah, just for sake of difference, I'll change mine to Red.
Okay.
So both of these will go on Red for me. So that way we'll have some more difference, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
post this on Instagram for all of you to comment
Debate.
and tell us how wrong we are. This one, the next one is Sweeter Than Fiction, which
Mm-hmm.
I also think will be on Red.
It could be on Red, but for the sake of again something else, I think it might be on 1989. It has that pop synth vibe
Mm,
that could
I
fit
can see
there.
that. I think Sweeter Than Fiction came out between Red and 1989. Don't quote me on that, but I think for me, I think it's Red because I think it fits still in that country before she went full pop. But I think there aren't that many songs on this list that can go on 1989. So I
Exactly.
think because of that, she might switch it to 1989. Then we get to Ronin, which I think has to be Red.
If it were to be on an album, I would think Red, but I don't know. I put that I don't think she's gonna re-record it, but she might, and I think it would go on Red.
I think
But
she has to because like I definitely get American Girl why she wouldn't because
mhm.
like exactly like you said it's someone else's song anyway,
Yeah,
so it makes
all
sense
right.
not to.
I want to change my vote to Red. I just
It's
didn't
just
want to be
Ronan.
different.
I feel like she's gonna have a hard time re-recording it, and I think she's gonna cry in the studio. But that's okay. She deserves it for making me cry every time I listen to it. So I think she just has to own it. She wants to own that
Yeah.
song, and I think it'd be very weird for her to look at something she created, wrote, and definitely something with that much emotion in it
Hmm.
and that much of a backstory for it. I'd be shocked if she was like, I'm okay with not owning that one. And if
That's
that's the
true.
case, I think we both agree. Yeah, it definitely falls on Red. And then this one is the most self explanatory. If we would be shocked, which means we're definitely going to be wrong, if I Don't Want to Live Forever doesn't go on Reputation. It is
Well,
such a Reputation
well,
song.
it's interesting now that I'm thinking about it. I don't want to live forever. Would Zayn agree to re-record it?
What would make it so they wouldn't?
I mean, I guess not. I think her and Gigi are kind of. I don't know where they stand now, but I'm curious their relationship. I guess he has no reason to not, but it just seems like a weird match.
Zayn, was he in One Direction,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like she mended her thing with Harry, and
Yeah.
they're all the same person. So sorry. I'm not a One Directioner. I don't know what they're called. What are they called?
Directioners.
They're called Direction. Oh, I nailed it. I'm not a fan of One Direction, so I don't know much about that whole situation. But I can't imagine, like, to me, I didn't hear anything about them having a falling out, and there's not really, aside from Kanye and Kim, there's not really a big beef. I think with Taylor Swift that I know of in the industry right now, and the industry again being Taylor Swift because she is the music industry.
Yes.
So I think it's Reputation, but I think just because we both are so dead set on Reputation that it's going to be 1989.
I don't think it would be. I don't think it matches the
Oh,
vibe.
100%. I don't think it would be either. I don't think it would, but like our track record
Has been bad.
has been horrible. So we're gonna close now, and we do have some mildly bad news. So unfortunately, due to a lot of our schedules and having big boy and big girl jobs and working full time, it is becoming increasingly harder to produce, write, script, and grow this podcast in the ways that we would like. For that reason, we will have to probably put this podcast on an extended hiatus. If we can find a way to make this all work a little bit easier, we will. And we will try our best to bring this show back in some form, if not this one, in a different one. But for the time being, you won't hear from us the next typical Tuesday.
That was so depressing.
I'm sorry. It is depressing. I'm
It
very
is.
sad.
I know. I know.
I love meeting with Devin every other week to talk shop and talk Taylor Swift. I feel really bad for my friends who now it has to all go to. And if Devin thinks she's gonna get out of me texting her 24/7 about
No, not at all. That's not the indication at all. It's just
it.
like you said, the effort behind producing the
It's
podcast is just for anyone listening. I mean, when we decided to start this podcast, I don't think, I mean, Joe was already kind of, he had some experience, but the sheer effort that a podcast takes, you have no idea until you actually sit down
and
with
we
it.
could go over the every script that we write for this show, all the notes that we do. I think our average is 5 pages of Google Docs notes, and for some we've gone as high as 12 to 14
Mm,
pages on one episode,
yeah.
and that's a lot of writing. That's a lot of time and dedication to make this show. And if we're and it feels weird, like we don't want to skimp on that because we feel like that makes the show valuable and worth your time to listen to. So I'm not giving up on the show. I'm gonna try to figure out a way to make it work. Devin's gonna also try to find a way to make it work. But if we do return, it might be in a different capacity. And I do unfortunately say if we do return.
Mhm.
So if we don't return, thank you guys. I cannot thank all of the listeners enough for this wild ride. It's actually been just over a year
Mhm.
since we've made this show. So, and what a year it's absolutely been, from 2 albums to
Three
talking about
albums
things. Three albums. That's right.
because
Three
we
albums because
started on Lover.
we start, well, technically
Well,
four then, because we also did Fearless.
mm,
4 albums. 4 albums, songs we cried to. The topics we've covered has been absolutely incredible. It has been so much fun getting to write, sit, and talk and hear the things that you guys have to say about Taylor, and get to interact with you guys on YouTube, on Instagram, hear what you have to say. It has been incredible building the following that we've had, and I hope one day I get to do it again.
that was so nice. And echoing everything Joe says, this has been an amazing experience, and just the amount of depth that we've gone into this woman, and she
Mm.
deserves it all. And, thank you all. I've thoroughly enjoyed interacting with everyone on our socials and just appreciating this bond that brings us together.
It has been my absolute favorite thing every holiday with my family, them coming up to me and going, "How can you talk for that long about
Mm-hmm.
one woman?" Like all the time. That's all
Yep.
we get. But I mean, it's easy, and there's still a lot that we could do. Uh, but like I said, I'm happy that it happened. Be grateful that it happened. Don't be sad that it's over.
Yeah.
And I will forever look back on this year, especially because now we also have Folklore and Evermore to tie to this podcast. Like, I don't know about you, but I will never be able to listen to those songs and not think about the podcast that we made around them.
100%.
So this made 2020 a survivable year for us.
Mm-hmm.
It added so much enjoyment and happiness to an otherwise crappy year, and I can't say it enough. I'm so grateful for this experience.
Yeah. Very proud of what we've built together.
So, I mean, if you want to still leave us a review, if this is oddly the first album
Episode.
episode that you're listening to, Go back and listen to our back catalog. We're not taking any of that away. All the videos will still be up on YouTube. All of the episodes will still be live wherever you listen to podcasts. Tell a friend about us. Who knows if somehow in our absence of posting we get to 10,000 followers or something. I think it'd be advantageous for us to come back. Who knows? Um, thank you guys so much. If you feel inclined, let us know how much how if you liked us. Let us know if you hated us. Honestly, bring us down a peg. Uh, we won't see you next typical Tuesday, but I hope to see you again in the future. Oh my gosh, we didn't think of an ending. We can't say come back, we'll be here. We won't be here. I got it. I got it. I got it. Thank you guys so much for listening. This has been the story of us.